bring to you. You set standards for how people behave so that when people come to you, they come to you with a sense of a clear sense of expectation, a clear sense of outcome, and you can manage, therefore, your throughput. And that is what, for the first time in our history now, we've got rules of procedure. But we'll put it out there for Nigerians to know what to do with the commission and how to do it. Because one of the things we met was a backlog of cases going back, in some cases, 2001. And we want to be able to clear all of those cases in the lifetime of this council and not have a Human Rights Commission replicate what happens in our courts, which is delay, interminable, wait till thy kingdom come for an outcome to the cases. And we really do think that that's the way to go. To set proper rules, set clear expectations, and put our people through a process of knowing how to manage people properly.
Now, Prof, I want to take you up again on what you talked about just a while ago, that the National Human Rights Commission isn't another alternative to courts. But over the years, or should I say in recent times, many Nigerians often see the NHRC as indeed an alternative to courts. What would you have to say about this notion? Is that really the case? Or what is responsible for this?
Well, you see, I don't know whether or not there is a general notion that it's an alternative to courts, but I'd like to hope that by the time we're finished in 2015 with this current term of our council, that our Nigerians can see the Commission as a credible entity to which they can go and which can provide some remedies promptly. And the challenges of access to remedies are far-reaching in this country. Wherever you look, people have difficulties, and people are looking for how to solve the problems. I'm a lawyer, and the lawyers will tell you go to court. But the fact of the matter is that courts are not working for our people. Brutal, full stop. The biggest single reason goes back to our elections. Our elections are not working. Most of the politicians end up in court. They take a lot of time. They commit all our judicial resources to sorting out election disputes. And those take so much time, the judges are no longer doing the things that we employ judges to do, which is retail justice. The second thing, which is more fundamental, is that the electoral justice system has corrupted the judiciary. Because the political machine has corrupted the judiciary, even more fundamentally than the fact that the courts have been diverted on a day-to-day basis, is the fact that people have lost faith in judges and the courts because they have been corrupted by politicians. And so people are looking for credible alternatives, for credible outlets where they can take their cases to. And thank God the National Human Rights Commission doesn't do election petitions. Because we don't do election petitions, hopefully politicians are not going to be coming to us with wads of cash or stashes of buildings to amass in different parts of the world. So hopefully we can simply concentrate on retailing justice and fairness and rules to those people who come to us. And that really is what my hope is. And that's what gives me the faith that if we apply ourselves properly as the National Human Rights Commission, we can do what we have to do.
Now, we know that here in Nigeria we have loads and loads of diverse cultures scattered all over the place, and on a regular basis or a day-to-day basis, the National Human Rights Commission has to really deal with loads of cases. Talk about right to life, freedom of expression, freedom of movement, diverse religious beliefs, catering for our women, and even those in police custody, and trying to see how we can protect their rights. And how are you able to go about all of this, knowing the peculiar terrain where we find ourselves in this country?
You have to believe that we are. Otherwise, then we're no use being Nigerians, and we're no use offering, talking about elections and governance and all of that. Now, we may be unique, but we're no more unique than any other race or any other country. The average Nigerian, north-south, east-west, south-south, middle belt, name it, hankers after basically the same thing. People want peace in their neighborhoods. They want to be able to go, to wake up, eat, sleep, have security in their neighborhoods. If there are any children, if there are spouses, that a pregnant sister or mother wife should do what? Have the baby and both mother and baby be alive, have access to hospitals, have access to schools. If you're trading, you have access to roads that you can, and markets to do your business. You can travel from one end of the country to the other, and you can worship God the way you wish, standing, sitting, bending, kneeling, howsoever you wish, without interference. Now, every Nigerian desires these. And it's no magic being able to provide it to our people. Section 14 of our Constitution is very clear. The safety and security of the people is the primary responsibility of government. And the National Human Rights Commission is to reinforce that message, to demand it, to seek it, to make sure that the government lives up to it. So if there are no schools for kids to go to, it's the responsibility of government to provide it. If there are no hospitals for our mothers who are pregnant, it is the responsibility of government to provide it. If our people are being killed by violence, mindless as it is the responsibility of government to reverse it. If Nigerians cannot travel from one end of the country to the other, it is the responsibility of the government to ensure that that happens. If it is not happening, it is the responsibility of a National Human Rights Commission to ask questions. If the police cannot catch the armed robbers or the people who are making life unsafe for us, it is the responsibility of the government to make sure that the police does that. And if it's failing, a National Human Rights Commission can pose questions. And I do think we need to be clear about the lines and the channels. And that is why it is important for us to keep reminding the politicians of their responsibilities. Because when they fail our people, when they fail the country, they endanger the possibility of realizing these rights that make living worth the while.
All right, let's even talk about our security agencies, the police especially, because over time or over the years, many Nigerians have always complained about the way they go about their business, cases of extrajudicial killings, police brutality, and the like. I mean, looking at the police as it is, do you really think we've missed it? I mean, talking about the country as it is, human rights and the way the police is being set up, is being structured, to ensure that Nigerians really enjoy human rights. Is there some kind of a disconnect? What actually is going on, with this problem that many Nigerians feel is going on within the police in terms of protecting their rights and not getting the best out of them?
The military did a lot of damage to our country, sadly. And I think we've got to admit it. And one of the things they did was undermine the Nigerian police force. The police has the biggest population of men and women in arms across the country. And the police used to be able to do a great deal to hold people who commit deviant behavior accountable, people who commit crime. But in doing that, the police investments in police were such that the police could invest in detection, invest in intelligence, and be able to have assets across the country who could locate, isolate, learn about where these people were, and try and take action to isolate them and hold them accountable. But by the time the military left power in 1999, the police was in very serious trouble. They did not have enough personnel. They were grossly underfunded. Their morale had been destroyed. Their communication architecture across the country had been ruined by the military. And so what you had, and of course their training and doctrine capability in terms of the police training colleges and all of that had been destroyed. So you could no longer produce a genuine production line of law enforcement professionals who could protect people across the country. And by the way, the chief of police in Nigeria is not the Inspector General of Police, it's the president. Under the Constitution and under the Police Act, the president has operational control of police. And that, again, I think is one of the things we've got to change. Because the nature of the presidency is such that as great a person as any president may be, the person who does the abusing is not a president. It is the court of the president. It's the people around a president who do the abusing. And quite often, a president doesn't even know until it is too late that a police is being abused in his name. And I do think we need to begin to reform the police quite fundamentally and move it away from this disposition that makes it open to abuse.
Well, we'll just take this a quick break, and when we come back, we shall continue with our discussion. It's still Professor Chidiodin Kalu, the chairman